A man presses a stranger against a wall in a dim London backstreet, a knife inches from his throat. "Who was that?" someone asks, stunned. The answer comes flat, almost bored. "Him. 20 years ago. Whatever this man used to be, it clearly hasn't left him. And in about 90 minutes, it's going to get him hunted by his own government, his own agency, and a killer who is, quite literally, his mirror image." To understand how a quiet loner on a wind-battered Scottish island ends up here, we have to go back to where this all started, a place with no roads, no neighbors, and no reason for anyone to look twice at the man living there. His name is Michael Mason. He lives alone in a converted lighthouse on a remote island off the Scottish coast, with only a dog for company. No phone signal, no visitors he hasn't chosen, nothing but wind and water. He likes it that way. The world has clearly hurt him badly enough that he'd rather disappear from it entirely than deal with it again. The only crack in that isolation is a teenage girl named Jessie, who comes by boat with her uncle once a week to drop off supplies. It's routine, transactional, nothing more, at least as far as Mason's concerned. Jessie, on the other hand, is tired of being treated like a delivery service. She's a kid who's already lost her mother, who's being raised by an uncle out of necessity rather than closeness, and who resents that the one adult she interacts with regularly won't even look her in the eye. When she tries to leave him a small gift, he ignores it. When she finally confronts him about his coldness, he tells her flatly never to come back. She leaves furious. Neither of them knows it yet, but that argument is about to become the least of their problems. Because a storm is rolling in fast, and Jessie is still out on the water. As the weather turns violent, Jessie and her uncle's boat is wrecked. Mason, watching from shore, doesn't hesitate. He launches his own boat straight into the storm. He gets to them in time to save Jessie, pulling her from the wreckage as the waves batter them both. Her uncle isn't so lucky. He's trapped below and drowns before Mason can reach him. So now Mason is left with an unconscious, badly injured girl, no way to get her to a hospital, and a promise, spoken or not, to the man who used to trust him enough to keep bringing her out here. When Jessie wakes, the first thing she wants to know is where her uncle is. Mason doesn't soften it. He tells her straight, her uncle's dead. What follows isn't a rescue story with a tidy ending. It's the start of an uneasy, forced arrangement between two people who don't know how to be around each other. Jessie is grieving, injured, and trapped on an island with a stranger who barely speaks. She's furious that he won't call the police, convinced someone will come looking for her. Mason's response is quietly devastating. There's no one left to come looking. Her mother is gone, her father was never in the picture, and her uncle, the last person tying her to the mainland, just died saving her. It's a lot for a kid to process, and it shows. That night, spooked and grieving, Jessie hides a knife under her pillow. When Mason checks on her after she cries out from a nightmare, she nearly stabs him in a panic before catching herself at the last second. It's a tense moment, but instead of punishing her for it, Mason does something unexpected. He teaches her how to actually use a knife properly. It's a strange gesture of trust from a man who trusts almost no one, and it marks the real beginning of whatever bond is going to form between them. But Jessie's ankle injury from the wreck isn't healing right, and Mason knows it. Untreated, it could get serious, which means he has to do the one thing he spent years avoiding: leave the island and go back into the world. While he's gone, Jessie starts poking around his belongings and finds the gift she left him weeks earlier, tucked away with a drawing he made. He kept it. He never took it, but he kept it. It's a small detail, but it tells her everything about a man who communicates almost nothing out loud. And it's the moment her feelings toward him start to shift from resentment to something closer to trust. Mason, meanwhile, has no idea how much the world has changed since he last set foot in it. He doesn't think about security cameras. He doesn't think about kids filming themselves for the internet. So when he walks through town buying medicine, and later passes a group of girls live streaming nearby, he has no reason to think anything of it. He should have. Within hours, that footage lands in front of a facial recognition system run by a covert British intelligence unit, and it flags an exact match to a face they've been hunting for years, a suspected terrorist linked to an embassy bombing. Except that's not actually who Mason is. It's a fabricated identity, buried in the system on purpose, and nobody currently looking at that alert has any idea how wrong their read on him is about to turn out to be. Back on the island, Mason has no clue any of this is happening. He and Jessie are settling into something almost peaceful, changing her bandages, sharing a quiet dinner, when he spots a boat approaching through his binoculars. His instructions to Jessie are immediate and absolute. Get in the bathroom, lock the door, don't come out no matter what she hears. What comes next isn't a debate or a standoff. It's a small, elite tactical team landing on the island to take down a man they believe is a dangerous terrorist, and they have no idea what they're actually walking into. Mason meets them on his terms, methodically and silently eliminating them one by one using nothing but the terrain and a knife. By the time it's over, every soldier sent to capture him is dead, and Mason is saying a final goodbye to his dog. He knows there's no going back to the life he had 5 minutes ago. At headquarters, the reaction isn't relief, it's alarm. No ordinary terrorist wipes out an entire assault team without a scratch. Whoever this man actually is, he's not who they thought, and that realization only makes him more dangerous to them, not less. A deeper records check reveals the truth. This isn't a terrorist at all. This is Michael Mason, a former Special Forces operative who vanished a decade ago and was presumed dead. His identity was deliberately buried and rewritten. Someone inside the system erased him and replaced him with a manufactured threat, which raises an uncomfortable question nobody wants to ask out loud. Who had the access and the motive to do that to one of their own? The answer is closer to home than anyone realizes. A senior figure inside the agency, a man named Manafort, recognizes Mason's face the moment he sees the footage and immediately moves to make sure Mason doesn't survive long enough to explain himself. He orders one of the agency's most lethal operatives, a man named Workman, to eliminate both Mason and the girl. Mason and Jessie, unaware just how personal this has become, are already on the run, seeking help wherever they can find it, including from a farmer's family who patch up Mason's wound at gunpoint turn cooperation. But Workman is relentless, and when local police stumble into the situation, the fallout turns lethal fast. Innocent people get caught in the crossfire of a conflict that has nothing to do with them. As the chaos escalates, the agency's newly promoted leadership starts to smell something wrong. Why would Workmen be killing bystanders when the order was simply to capture Mason? The deeper they dig, the more the story falls apart, and the more Manafort's fingerprints show up in places they shouldn't. The truth, once it surfaces, recontextualizes everything. Mason wasn't a rogue killer who went bad. Years earlier, as part of an off-the-books assassination program answering to no one, he was ordered to eliminate an Iranian scientist, a man who had risked everything to expose his own country's nuclear secrets. Mason refused to pull the trigger. He chose conscience over orders, buried his own identity, and disappeared rather than live with what he'd been asked to do. Manafort has spent 10 years waiting for the chance to finish what that mission started. With nowhere else to turn, Mason reaches out to an old contact named Arthur, one of the few people who helped him vanish in the first place. Arthur confirms what Mason already suspects. His new identity, the one meant to keep him safely invisible, was deliberately swapped for a terrorist file. Someone wanted him found, and wanted him found as a monster. The only way out now is through Kamal, a smuggler capable of moving people across borders without a trace. The same tense encounter we saw flash by at the very start of all this. Mason pinning a man to a wall before disappearing into the dark. With Manafort's people closing in and Workman only a step behind, Mason strikes a deal. Get Jesse out of the country, with a new identity, far from all of this. Somewhere safe. Jesse doesn't want it. She wants Mason to come with her, to have the normal life together that neither of them ever really got to have. But Mason knows what he is, and what following him would cost her. He can't promise he'll ever see her again. Only that he'll do everything he can to make sure she survives long enough to find out what a normal life even feels like. Getting her out isn't clean. Manafort's men descend on them before the extraction can happen quietly, and what follows is a desperate, close-quarters fight through crowded streets to get Jesse to the boat Kamal arranged. She doesn't want to leave him even as it's happening. Mason doesn't give her the choice. He gets her aboard and pushes her out to sea himself. That's when Workman finally catches up to him, alone, with nothing left to protect. It's the confrontation the entire chase has been building toward. Not a fight over orders anymore, but two versions of the same man. One who kept his conscience and one who never got the chance to. In the aftermath, Manafort's carefully built position collapses. The agency's new leadership having pieced together what he did. Both to Mason a decade ago and to innocent people in the chaos he set off chasing him, comes for him too. Whatever protection his rank once bought him is gone. Months later, in a quiet town in Spain, Jesse is finally living something like the ordinary life Mason wanted for her. New name, fresh start, distance from everything that happened. She doesn't know she's still being watched from a distance by the agency that once hunted her, though this time, they're choosing to leave her be. She also doesn't know, at first, that someone else is watching too. A small package arrives for her with no note, just a single chess piece inside, a quiet callback to a game they once played on the island, back when neither of them expected to matter to the other. She looks up, searching the street. Whoever left it is already gone. But the message is clear enough without words. He's still out there, still watching over her. Even from the shadows he'll probably never fully leave. That's Shelter, a story about a man who spent 10 years running from the one decision that actually made him human, and the one relationship that finally gave that decision meaning. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe for more, and let me know in the comments what you thought of the ending.